We doing live Uncivilized Radio Detroit. I got my man Steven on here with me. We gonna break down what the hell we just got done watching. Steven, your take.
Wow. Well, first off, I like to say, well, you just sprung this on me, so I
I
didn't know we were
dude,
about to do a podcast.
I tell you what, this couldn't wait till tomorrow because I'm sitting here like, what did he say?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of what you expected to be. Um, Trump was crazy. He was unhinged. He was just like, and it's he did exactly what he wanted to do. I mean, he doesn't have any facts or policy to back anything up. So his goal is to create chaos as much as possible. So, I mean, he accomplished what he wanted to do.
The part that really stung me was I've been watching debates since I was younger. I used to watch with my grandma all the time. Never have I ever seen a gross, what's the word I'm looking for? A gross negligence of being an actual president where you won't even let your opponent speak because you have this. It's that misogyny and that narcissism in you to where I have to have the last word, in which you got the last word regardless, but you wouldn't even let him speak.
Yeah, and he did the same thing with Hillary to a lesser extent. I mean, his whole thing when he was stalking around and following her across the stage, and he would interrupt her as well. He just took it up to like a whole new level tonight. Because I mean, quite frankly, he's a BS artist. I mean, he doesn't have any arguments. He doesn't have anything. He's basically the internet guy, the loud and wrong guy. So pretty much being loud and wrong was his strategy, and so he's not going to let anyone else speak. He's going to confuse the issue because it pumps up his followers. Like they like it because they say, "Oh, he's being tough and he's being strong." So he's just playing to them when he does all the antics of interrupting people and jumping all over folks and not letting them finish thoughts.
Yep. Oh, we have another new friend, my friend Casey. He wants to come. He's gonna come in and say a couple things real quick. Hold on one second. Casey, you got your mic off. I don't think. Casey, you there? Casey,
Hey,
there he is.
yeah,
Casey,
man.
Steven Casey.
How's it going?
You nice to meet here. Hold on, I got to change my name.
Oh, it's under Aaron. Yeah, we
Yeah,
were we're breaking this down. This was madness. This was madness. I've I've never in my years of watching politics seen such a cluster.
I've never yelled "shut the fuck up" as much as I have just now.
Ooh, okay, Aaron.
All right.
that's for my wife, by the way.
I am so glad I run an uncensored podcast where, hey, speaking.
Yeah, it is.
My bad.
No, it's
Hi,
fine.
Aaron.
All right.
Sorry.
Trev, we're part. It's you, me, Chris, and Paul. We got our little group called the Jameson Boys, and I gotta
Yeah.
tell you, this debate. I'm glad all I have is beer because I think that bottle of Jameson would have been done. Just watching the shit show between these two candidates.
It looks like two Muppets.
Like, seriously, it did. It looked like two Muppets. It looked like Jeff Dunham's Walter versus, I don't know, something Jim Henson would come up with.
Um, just to let y'all know, this is what I've been doing for the past half an hour watching that debate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wachusett beer, Massachusetts, because that's where I live now.
Steve, I'm surprised you ain't got a couple shots on there.
Nah, like that. Watching that debate just got me riled up enough, man. Like I didn't need to add any alcohol to it. It was
the scary part about this whole thing is that you have some of his followers, and I've seen this on my timeline. You have actual people thinking that, oh, Trump is owning Biden, and I'm like, what debate are you watching?
I thought the same way. I believe, I don't think this was one-sided. I think there are going to be a lot of Biden fans that are like, oh, Biden owed Trump. And there's going to be a lot of Trump fans that are like, oh, Trump owned Biden. I don't think either one owned each other. Again, as I reiterate, which I think all three of us can agree upon, is that this was a shit show.
It was a clusterfuck.
It was a clusterfuck because, you know, and I will give Biden this, at least he didn't interrupt Trump as much as Trump interrupted Biden. And I think interrupting Biden made Trump look petty. If Trump would have just kept his mouth shut a couple of times, there were a couple of times I saw him biting his tongue and everything, and but if he would have bit his tongue a little bit more, I think it would have went over better for him. But he's not that type of guy. He has to get his point across. He's that, you know, I'm a business owner. I'm the alpha male. I need to get my point across. And I'm going to say shit when I feel like I should say shit. And yeah, it probably hurt him a bit. Not for the Trump supporters. The Trump supporters like, yeah, you know, anti-establishment, you know, you are the anti-establishment. Is he, though? Is he really?
I
You
think
know, he's been part of those billion-dollar companies that all politicians have been supporting. That's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think how you see whether who won the debate is going to fall into one of two things. Either, you know, it depends on if you're a supporter of either one. I mean, you're going to say that person won, but also it depends on what you are looking for and what you expect a debate to be. If you expect a debate to be, you know, a recitation of facts and arguing your position and defending your position and presenting concepts, then, I mean, it's clear that Biden won because he presented those things. But if you're more concerned with how things played and how things looked, as far as, you know, showing a show of strength or, you know, not taking any gruff from somebody, and if you're looking for that kind of stuff, yeah, there's people going to be like, yeah, I like what Trump did. He was strong, he was forceful, but that's not what debates are about. Debates, from what I look for, debates is like, okay, who's gonna argue their position? Who's gonna answer the question? Who's gonna argue their position and back it up with facts and back it up with other you know, supporting evidence and testimony? And in that case, it was clearly Biden, just because he talked for the most part in facts. I mean, I follow a couple of people on Twitter, and one of which is the CNN reporter Daniel Dale, who was live fact-checking the debate live. And for the most part, most of the stuff that Biden said was true. I mean, there's a couple of things where he was off, but generally speaking, he was true. For the vast majority of what Trump said, they were lies or they were misrepresentations. So if you're looking for the truth and you're looking for someone to argue a point, then, you know, you have your opinion on who won in that case.
Yeah, see, my issue with it was, I'm wondering what good job has he done? Because looking at where we are right now, what good job is he talking about? I'm really wondering that, because if you basically calling, like, let's take it back to Charlottesville. You called the extremists good people. There have been rampant rumors of during your 2016 campaign run that you took a check from David Duke, which you vehemently denied. That's neither here nor there.
That was one slip up I heard him say, and I don't know if a lot of people caught on that. I know, from what you're saying, Jeff, you definitely heard it. But when they talked about that, and he about the whole racism thing, he didn't say KKK. He said, "Oh, good old boys, stand back." He called them good old boys.
No, he said Proud Boys. He said Proud Boys is a specific group, so he called them out by name.
And that's the part that scared me. You know, stand back and stand down. So it's like, so are you plotting on masses? Because if you remember, if I can quote him, I think it was during one of his little rants or speeches that, and correct me if I'm wrong, he said something along the lines of, if I don't win re-election, this place will riot. Y'all remember that?
I mean, it sounds familiar. I can't say I specifically remember.
It sounds, and he kind of brought it up again. He pretty much stated he thinks that he has this in the bag. So if he doesn't win, it was a quote. It's a conspiracy against him. It's rigged. That's how he brought it at the end of the debate. In my eyes,
I think that's why he's trying to fast track that Supreme Court justice, because by doing that, it's nine justices, right? It's 9 justices. So if he fast tracked this lady to get in there, that's Kavanaugh, her, and who else?
Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Roberts, Thomas.
So he'd have
it's going to be 6-3. I mean, the 3 liberal leaning are going to be Sotomayor, Kagan, and what's his face? Brennan. Was it Brennan? Whatever. we got the third one.
So would it be safe to assume that he's basically setting himself up to get reelected? Because I'm guessing with the appointment of Amy, I can't remember her name, but I know it's Amy. With the appointment of her, that pretty much he's hoping that he goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
I would agree. But on the same token, though, and I'm going to play devil's advocate because I don't like either party. I will be very upfront with you. I don't like either party.
Respect it.
I think that if the roles were reversed, I think the Democrats would be trying to do the same thing to make sure that they had an ace in their sleeve.
I would agree. I can see that, because think about it. If he wins again, it's going to be mass hysteria. There's going to be a civil war, and that's just my opinion. I feel like because he can't start a war somewhere else, he'll just start one at home. And we already know McConnell is drunk with power. There's the problem right there, Mitch McConnell. There's the problem. Because I don't understand how you go from 2 months ago saying if you want to get reelected, distance yourself from him, but yet you're right back up under his arm.
I think they're all drunk with power, though. You know, I was watching an interview with Nancy Pelosi the other day, and and the reporter flat out asked her, "Well, if things were reversed, would you be pulling what Donald Trump is trying to pull now with the Supreme Court?" Nancy Pelosi said no, but come on, man, you know that's a blatant lie. You know it's a blatant lie. The Democrats would be pulling the same thing.
Really,
and I'm not trying to back Trump or anything. I'm just thinking that if I was running for president and I myself would figure out what my best political strategy would be, if I could have the ace in the hole of a Supreme Court justice in my back pocket, dude, if I'm a politician, I'm pulling that card. I don't care what side
Well, the thing is, with the Democrats, that the criticism of them has always been, especially in the past 20 years since Bush was elected, was the fact that they don't play "quote unquote" dirty enough. They don't do all the things that the Republicans do. So I can't say unequivocally that this is something. If the roles were reversed, they would do the same thing. I mean, they've always been accused of not being aggressive enough, not being progressive enough, not trying to push things like the Democrats or the Republicans do. Republicans they're the whole charade from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Who gonna check me, boo? Republicans do whatever they want, and they dare you to stop them. And the Democrats just haven't been like that in the past 20 years. So I wouldn't say that they would definitely do the same thing if the roles were reversed. I mean, especially, they tried to. They tried to put Garland up there back in 2016, and even then it's like Garland was a guy who, the goal is to get someone confirmed, and Garland was a guy who was pretty much, under normal circumstances, was pretty inoffensive to either side. He was sort of a moderate. He leaned a little liberal, but he was kind of moderate. And even then, the Republicans said, no, we're not going to take this guy. They're going to force the issue. Like the Democrats actually tried to do the nice, right thing. So, I don't think they would do the same thing in this situation. I don't think they would turn around and try to force through a bad candidate just to have, a Supreme Court justice.
Right.
Now, let me quote Mitch McConnell, and I want to get your thoughts on this. If a Democrat wins the seat of the White House, I will obstruct any and every bill that hits my desk if I am reelected and Donald Trump is not. Would you say that's a little out of control?
So you're saying
Didn't
is that what McConnell said?
Say the same thing when Trump got elected. If she said if Trump got elected, she would squash everything that Trump put on her plate.
Who said that?
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not.
Oh no. Opinion. Only opinion. Pelosi said that?
I believe so, because at that time she was House Majority Leader before the mid-year election.
Yeah, after the mid-years.
I'm gonna have to research that one. I'm not gonna discount it, but I'm gonna have to research that one. But I do remember that McConnell said that if Donald Trump is not reelected and a Democrat wins the seat, that he was basically going to be a pain in that Democrat president's ass.
That's pretty much what they said when Obama was elected, where they said, I believe it was McConnell, who said our goal is to make Barack Obama a one-term president.
He actually did it because if you remember Obama's second term, he couldn't get nothing through.
Yeah, the only reason he got anything through pretty much the first mid-year is because the
Democrats on the House.
The Democrats had the House, and he used that political capital to get health care passed. And then after that, there was nothing can be done substantively just because they lost the majority. The Democrats didn't come out. Which is,
did you notice?
I think it's more of their fault than his fault.
Did you notice when Biden attacked him on Obamacare and Trump said, "I have a plan," and Biden said, "Well, what's the plan?" And he really couldn't give an answer because it's like, you don't have one. What is your plan? Does anybody know?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I put on social media that neither one of them had a plan. You watch that whole debate, it was literally them just attacking each other about what they've either done or not have done. Neither one of them stated what they were going to do. If you can go back and fact check me and be like, no, you're wrong, this is what Biden said, this is what Trump said of what he was going to do, then I'll retract my statement. But I sat there going, neither one of you are saying what you're going to do. And Biden said that, and he talked about the green energy bill. Listen, man, I got kids. You got kids, you got grandkids, I got kids. Everybody wants this planet to be thriving by the time they're our age. So we want what's best for the planet. And yes, is there global warming? Yes, there is. I will not denounce that there's global warming. Will I denounce that it's as rapid as people push it to be? Yes, I will. I am going to be that person. I am denouncing right here and now on your podcast that I don't think that global warming is as bad as they say it is. Do I think it's bad? Oh, hell yeah, I think it's bad. But do I think it's as rapid as they think it is? No, not so much.
Open our science textbook.
But the thing is that how does Biden go and say that he doesn't believe in the greenhouse bill, he believes in the Biden bill? What is that?
Well, he was talking about the new Green Deal plan that
Right.
that AOC proposed with a number of other legislators. So that's a different plan than what his plan is. On his website, he has outlined his plan, whatever that is. But he's saying that obviously, and from his perspective, I think the point he's trying to make is like if both plans are doing something good, but he doesn't support their plan because he just doesn't think it's probably as effective or it's probably too costly compared to his own plan. So Trump conflated those things. Trump started talking about Green New Deal and started throwing all these, just ranting about things. And then Biden got caught up in that and then started talking about the Green New Deal when essentially Biden really wanted to and needed to talk about his plan. So he got caught up in talking about a different plan that AOC and other legislators came up with.
Yeah, but the moderator asked him if he believed in that bill, and he flat out said no.
Something else that Biden did that kind of it kind of raised a couple question marks with me. I believe now I'm gonna try to phrase this as best as I can. Chris Wallace asked him about Black Lives Matter. Biden didn't really give a clear answer on it. It kind of had me like,
I know by African American.
Steve?
Well, I mean, it's him obviously trying to toe both lines of obviously there are a lot of people in this country, as we've seen, who don't believe in the concept of Black Lives Matter, nor do they believe in the actual Black Lives Matter organization, which is, separate from just the general concept of Black Lives Matter. So I took that as his attempt to say, hey, Black people have gotten the short end of the stick, we're suffering from systemic injustice and racism, but he also wants to make sure that the other people who are afraid of scary Black Lives Matter when they hear those terms, make sure that he appeases them somehow. So he was basically just trying to, toe the line in the middle, knowing that, quite frankly, there's a lot of people in this country who, have those particular feelings. They may not know much about the organization itself or the general concept, and yet they still feel some kind of way about it. So he still wants to make sure he gets those people to vote as well. So that I just interpreted that as his attempt to kind of toe the middle of those two worlds. It is what it is. It's not the best answer. I didn't like his particularly his answer on that, but short of Joe Biden pulling a bunny from behind the lectern, biting its head off, and throwing it into the audience, I'm going to vote for that man. So it doesn't matter what he said about the race and injustice segment of the debate. It's like it's not going to be a good answer. It's not going to be a great answer. I don't care at this point.
Okay, Casey. Let me ask you this.
I think you should have spoke real world. For 5 years I grew up I lived in Delaware. I lived in Wilmington. Joe Biden is a very big. He's from Delaware. He was a Delaware senator. He was in Wilmington. Wilmington is one of the most dangerous cities in America. Not many people realize it because it comes from the state of Delaware, but it's got a very high murder capital, a
Seriously.
lot of black on black violence.
In Wilmington?
And Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, yes. It's hidden. It's kept quiet a lot. And yeah, I can tell you, I've heard stories of my wife, Aaron going out and having dinner with a parent and hearing gunshots, and having to leave.
I would have never thought that in Delaware.
No one does, because everyone thinks of Delaware as like this little farm state, because they think of like the south part of Delaware. Don't think of Wilmington, which is close to Philly, and a citywide thing. But this I will give to Biden. He is very much for and tries to do a lot for that city. So he does care, and he does care about the Black Lives Movement. Unfortunately, I think, like I said before, he should have used a real world experiences, and I think that would have helped him better.
And my question to you, Casey, was going to be, and for everybody, as far as the ballot thing goes, I have mine. I got mine with no problem.
We got ours last week, so we're good.
Yeah, so that whole part about ballots being bad, stop, because it's not. My problem is
I got mine somewhere too. I know I have mine here somewhere.
yeah. Now to Chris Wallace's credit, because I'm quite sure right now he's probably somewhere rolling up a blunt. Because I would need one after that. But
that poor bastard is probably drinking the best scotch on the planet.
Man, look, you know what? He probably got a bottle of Jameson Black right now, probably somewhere like this. But the biggest issue that I have as far as Mr. Trump is concerned is that for every question that Chris asked him, he automatically went for it's the left's fault. Will voters or any of his people tonight, do you think that they would look at that and see that their choice accepted no accountability for anything that has happened? Will they look at that?
Unfortunately, yeah, I do. I think that the right's not going to take any accountability for it whatsoever. That they, because it's I don't think that this is now, or at least the last couple elections that I've been privy to and been around for, that I don't think it's about the person anymore. I honestly think it's about the party, and that's on both sides. But yeah, to your question, I think the right's going to not take blame for it, and I think they're going to push all the blame to the left.
Steven?
There's nothing that can happen now that's going to dissuade these people who already have their minds made up. And quite frankly, at this point in the game, we are 33 days out. 33 days out from the election. And if you don't know who you're voting for at this point, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. And it's not because, if I'm saying, you have to know you have to vote for Biden. If you don't, you're an idiot. It's more like which each side stands for at this point. And there's nothing that's going to dissuade people who support Trump. And because, objectionably, everything he's done has been pretty much a disaster. Like, if you just look at it objectively, but yet people are still supporting him. So it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter with the taxes. It doesn't matter that stuff happens and he blames someone else for it. They're going to support him no matter what. I mean, that's the bottom line. So it's kind of like it's good fodder for us on Twitter and Facebook to watch these debates and joke around and talk about it. But at this point, it really doesn't matter. These debates don't matter. People know who they're going to vote for. And if you don't already have it decided by now after all the evidence, then you're just an idiot. I'm sorry. I can't, clap to that.
The one thing I'm wondering is that if I could get away with, because my quote of the night was, I've paid millions of dollars in taxes. The New York Times just said, no, you haven't.
I don't consider myself a particularly like super smart person or anything. So this isn't even coming from a place of arrogance. But in watching that debate, I'm just thinking like I could have debated this dude, like because it wasn't even. Like we said, it wasn't much discussion about policy. It wasn't specific policy. I mean, it was totally different from like 2016 when Hillary was up there and was talking about China and the Middle East, and it was very specific points. They were talking about stuff that like went completely over my head because I had no idea about like the nuances of those things.
I'll be
but
right
this
back.
This is just an argument, and I just feel like, okay, when he says stuff like that, like I pay millions of taxes, like boom, like I've been online enough and Twitter, read enough articles to say, hey, there's nothing. I would have stopped him. I said, if I was Joe, I said, look, there's nothing stopping you from releasing your tax returns right now. There's no law preventing you from releasing them. You don't need to have an audit completed to release them. I released mine today. Kamala released hers today, and her husband. All the previous Democratic candidates released their tax returns, even all the Republican candidates. There's nothing stopping you. If you say that you pay millions of dollars, all you have to do is show your tax returns, just like you were requiring Obama to show his birth certificate to prove that he was born in the United States. And that's all you have to do when he does stuff like that.
What year was that he gave Barack Obama the most grief about his taxes? What year was that?
It was the year they killed Osama bin Laden, whatever year that was.
Okay.
So that was probably around 2012, maybe. I don't know. Whatever year they killed bin Laden.
I think it was about either 12 or 13. Don't quote me on that. People, don't quote me on that. I don't know per se. He's gone. He's gone. But he, even beforehand, he's been Obama this, Obama that, Obama this, Obama that. But yet, in my opinion, I feel like he's been jealous of the 8 years that Obama did with the urgency of winning a Nobel Prize and things of that nature. I'm sorry, you've not done anything to earn a Nobel Prize, let alone even be considered for it. And like I said, people are gonna they're gonna agree with me, not agree with me. I don't care at this point. Bottom line is, the man is a bully. He's a liar. And I think he feels like he can run this country and everyone in Congress and everywhere else as if he was in New York at Trump Tower. His executive orders are a memo. I send it down, snap my fingers, and it's done. I don't think he knows that that's not how this works.
No, he doesn't know how politics works. He doesn't know how government works. But see, the thing is, people talk about it as a failure of the system of, the way the country is set up constitutionally and the whole format of government here. It's only a failure because, the founding fathers did not expect that there would be members of Congress, of the government, who would be participants in this nonsense. That it was set up assuming that people are going to do the right thing or try to do the right thing, and then you have the checks and balances of the government. So he can only do all this stuff is because he's getting assistance from the Republican Party. I mean, they've gone to the point of, we just want power no matter what, and we're going to use this useful idiot to get it. I mean, the whole goal is to get judges. I mean, with a Republican president and a Republican-controlled Senate, you can confirm any judges you want. I mean, Trump made the whole point of like, we confirmed 228 judges, and you and Obama left 140 vacancies. They didn't leave those vacancies. Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans blocked all the nominations for those federal judgeships. So it wasn't like they just left it. So when you have the part of the federal government complicit with someone like Trump, then he can do this kind of stuff. He can do whatever he wants. He can bully his way around because they're being complicit. If they were acting like a normal functioning branch of the government, this stuff wouldn't be happening like this. There would be some balance to the way this government runs.
Case, what you think?
What was the question? I stepped away. What was the question?
Basically, Trump getting away with murder, basically, because actually, you know what? I'm going to pose a new question to you. This will be the last question because they act crazy on this website. Anyway, I'm going to pose this question to you.
Okay.
Do you feel like he has gotten away with murder since his impeachment? And I say that because the same things that he was impeached for, he's doing now, except he's more blatant with it now because he knows that you're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah. Do I need to go into detail? Probably not. These last 4 years have been interesting. They've been trying. They've been eye-opening. Actually, I'd say the last 12 years, I think, have been eye-opening for me. And the reason why is because I worked in the private sector. I was a manager of a retail store. My assistant manager just so happened to be, not only was he African American, but he was a gay African American. And he was my best friend. I trusted him with a lot of stuff. And because he was older than me, I looked to him as a mentor because he had done a lot of things in his career, in his business career. And the reason why he decided to work under me was, one, he thought he liked my personality. He liked my business hunger. And the main thing was that he did so much before that. He wanted time to where he wasn't the boss anymore. Like, he was done being the boss. He was done making the hard decisions. And one of the things that he had said to me, which rings true to me, is that during the Obama administration, and is that that African Americans finally figured out what their worth was in America. They realized how important they are, and how important they were. You look, Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb. He got his name on it because he was the white guy, but he didn't invent the light bulb. And I think it's a good thing to realize what you're worth. And now that the African American community wants credit for what they're worth, I think as Americans we owe it to that. And I think that the last 4 years have been, I don't want to say that it's been trying to diminish it, but it hasn't helped. I think, and again, this is coming from a guy that, I looked up to. He was my mentor. He said jump. I asked how high, just because he's been there, done that, and
You guys
so
had a bond.
he
You
knew
guys
how to
had a
be
bond.
successful. He knew how to be successful. He knew how to be successful with all the limitations that were going against him. How would I not want to learn from somebody like that?
Just like if I were in the engineering field, I want to learn something from Steve. Or you know what I'm saying? So it's like and this would be the final thought because I'm getting banged here. At the end of the day, what I feel like this administration is doing is dividing, whereas we all need to be coming together because at the end of the day, we start to slowly find out that we learn from each other, no matter what your color is. If you're good at something, and you may be a white guy, I may be a black guy, but if you're good at something, I don't care what you are. I want to learn.
I was 37 years old when I found out the term monkey wrench was racist.
Oh my god.
Okay, see, now I'm 43 and I haven't heard that being racist.
44.
Yeah, I was 37 years old, and I didn't read. And the problem was that a black African American invented the pipe wrench, and because a bunch of white people were like, "Oh, screw it, a black guy invented it. We're going to call it the monkey wrench." Swear to God.
Wow.
It was an eye-opener of what they would do to diminish anybody that would come up with an invention that wasn't white, that wasn't thought of by a white guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is living proof. You learn something new every day. I never knew.
That's why they call it the monkey wrench, because a black guy invented it.
Wow. Huh. Well, on that note, education, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we go in. That's how we go into today's podcast.
Nobody pissed anybody off, and if I did, right here, Congressman, don't come at me.
And that's how we're going to end this podcast today. Casey, I love you. Thank you, Steven. We're going to do this
Love you,
again.
Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Guys, thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and go to bed now because I'm quite sure I'm being too loud and somebody's trying to go to sleep in my house right now. Yes,
All right.
Gentlemen,
One love.
thank you.
See you later.
All right.